I just finished doing some morning chores with the chickens, turning compost. We'll take a deeper dive into this system. Again, a nice update soon enough. But I realized I'd want to take a look at the high tunnel by the road, which has been heated for the last couple of weeks by the compost from this system. We're finally coming out of the likelihood of any freeze. We're really coming into spring and on our way towards summer. How did it work in starting seeds and keeping that space warm? So the extra bedding from the winter coop and some of the really hot compost that was in this chicken yard a few weeks ago left and was brought down to this cattle panel high tunnel by the road. I'll put on the screen here how many days ago this was. I don't remember exactly right now, but a few weeks. And it has been heating this whole space really intensely in one spot and passively in the rest of the space, and it's been very, very productive, really lovely. This morning I was going to take some tomatoes that sprouted in here and start potting them up and start moving some of these flats out, but I wanted to show this space in its wonder before I do so. So on the far end, this is where the compost heating system was built. I will link here if you want to see that whole build and discussion, so I won't explain it too much right now. But directly above that space is the warmest spot of this high tunnel, and even now, a bunch of days later, a bunch of weeks later, it's still creating 80 Fahrenheit, 25 centigrade down in there. It would be creating more if I was actively watering this pile. That's a way to stall out a compost heating system, is to stop watering it. But we don't need the extra heat anymore. In fact, it's excessive once it starts really warming up. But you can see some of the things that it's done for us. So this is with no electricity, no fossil fuels, just decomposition. In this space, it started all of these tomatoes. So bottom heat radiated up into this flat and helped these tomatoes get started. This warm weather green of Malokia was started beautifully with that heat. And what I feel extremely excited about is we grew sweet potatoes in the field last year, saved them over winter, cured them next to our wood stove, and then I planted a bunch as an experiment into this media on the bottom heat, and they not only sprouted, they've survived a bunch of nights where it went way below freezing, probably in the low 20s, mid 20s, but the compost heat protected them. And now we have our own sprouted slips of sweet potatoes. So it looks like we can grow sweet potatoes for ourselves and not need to import any slips from elsewhere in order to continue growing sweet potatoes for our family. That's pretty exciting. Another flat of excessive numbers of tomatoes. They really worked well. So I'm going to be stepping them up into larger containers for now. They're a little too small to go directly into the field. We'll share a bunch with folks, but we've got some nice varieties that Sasha enjoys preserving with, and we'll go from there. But hundreds and hundreds of little seedlings from the radiating heat off of that compost. So that compost directly heated all of that and then indirectly heated the rest of the space, making it possible to step up a bunch of starts of peppers and tomatoes. These were shared to us by our new friend Scott of Under the Tree Farms. I'll link to his Instagram here. He's a really neat local farmer if you don't know about him. But we took his starts that were excess from what he needed to do and stepped them up into larger containers. So here's some habaneros. They're on their way to being really field ready. We'll give them another week or two in here and then plant them out. We also use this space to help trigger the sprouting of seaberry root fragments. So here's, for example, a female variety. We took little suckers and sections of root and put them in nice media with some mulch, and we've got tons and tons of little suckers coming up. In fact, there's 3 full bulb crates of root sections from a very nice cultivar male seaberry, which is like the holy grail of propagating for me. We've had such difficulty with it, but I think with the very consistent, even warmth and tons of sun energy coming in, these are all sprouting. So we'll plant them out into a field to grow on for a season. We'll deal with that in one of these evenings soon. Mulberry seedlings coming up. We got hundreds of little mulberries in there. Some passion flower that Juan sowed in a windstrip flat here. On and on and on. And for our plant sales, we have Miyoga ginger potted up. We figured we'd put this in here not to protect it from freezing, but to give it additional warmth so that they wake up in time for plant sales. In this not so fancy structure, this cattle panel structure cost about $150 to build about maybe 8 years ago now, and It's been working just fine as a normal little high tunnel space, but really it's a greenhouse now. So $150 investment a bunch of years ago. It's grown things for a while, and then waste material from our chicken yard generated the heat to trigger the growth of all sorts of hot weather tropical crops, peppers, tomatoes, and in particular sweet potatoes, which feels very exciting, and then helped us keep safely above freezing all sorts of propagation experiments. All of these can now move out and into the sun. We're not going to see frost for a while, maybe till the fall, hopefully, and we can then plant into this soil crops that will grow here for the season. Really amazing stacked yields here. Very simple to build structure, has been extremely sturdy. I think this is one where I used reused greenhouse poly, and it's lasted for a while. And all this not very far from a pretty nasty busy road, as demonstrated consistently. Even though it's 7 o'clock in the morning, people are whipping through here, and all this nestled in the context on the northern end of our tiny little site. So this helps deflect some sound, tiny bit, but certainly the visuals of the road from our little small-scale potted plant nursery. Happy to keep the conversation going in the comments, letting me know what kind of questions or concerns you have or ideas, and hopefully this is some encouragement for folks that live in somewhat marginal spaces. Like right here next to the road, we can have the growth of all sorts of tropical plants in a cold weather space using reclaimed greenhouse poly, old material that was decomposing anyway, and a bunch of salvaged plastic pots. I think this is what I'm trying to get at, is the idea of permaculture here is valuing the marginal and really stacking functions with these things. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you are having nice abundant spring moments wherever you are.